Today we are working Psalm 17. In Psalm Magic, we frequently hear about using Psalm 17 to cause any ill will toward you to be diverted, for understanding the eternity of the soul, and also for safe travel. Today we are going to use Psalm 17 to be delivered from any crisis. The way we work Psalm Magic is simple, easy, and effective. We take the psalm in question and we speak it out loud all the way through once without stopping. We call this an incantation. After we've finished that, we go back through the psalm and we consider each verse one at a time. We search for hidden meanings that lie behind each verse. And by searching for those meanings and then applying what we find to the situation we brought to the psalm, we are taking those seeds of magic that live within the psalm and planting them in the fertile grounds of our deep mind, where they take root, they blossom forth, and they bear fruit after their kind. And that is precisely what we are going to do together right now with Psalm 17. Hear the right, O Lord, attend to my cry. Give ear unto my prayer that goeth not out of feigned lips. Let my sentence come forth from thy presence. Let thine eyes behold the things that are equal. Thou hast proved mine heart, thou hast visited me in the night, thou hast tried me and shalt find nothing. I am purposed that my mouth shall not transgress. Concerning the works of men, by the word of thy lips, I have kept me from the paths of the destroyer. Hold up my goings in thy path, that my footsteps slip not. I have called upon thee, for thou wilt hear me, O God. Incline thy ear unto me, and hear my speech. Show thy marvelous loving kindness, O thou that savest by thy right hand, them which put their trust in thee from those that rise up against them. Keep me as the apple of the eye, hide me under the shadow of thy wings, from the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. They are enclosed in their own fat, with their mouth they speak proudly. They have now compassed us in our steps, they have set their eyes bowing down to the earth. Like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in the secret places, arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down. Deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. From men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. The openings in many of these psalms are similar, and they are formulaic. The first thing we have to recognize in Psalm Magic is that the Lord is a symbol for the one power of the universe. And we must always orient ourselves to that concept that there is one power, one source, one substance in all the universe. All power is one, all source is one. And since there's one, there's nothing that can oppose it. There's nothing that can go up against it, and one with the source is a majority. When we orient ourselves to that concept, to that idea, and our mind is stayed on that thought, then we go forth with our spell with much more power, much more certainty. And when it says that the prayer goeth out not of feigned lips, we're not playing lip service to this. We understand that there's only one. We are an extension of that one force. Our desire is a holy desire, and we are just as important as anything else. Let my sentence come forth from thy presence. Let thine eyes behold the things that are equal. There is no order of difficulty. There is no higher and lower. There's no greater and lesser. All things are equal in the eyes of the infinite. And therefore, there's no problem that's more important than ours. There's no person that's more powerful than we are, but there's also no person that's less powerful than we are. We are each unique extensions of this force, and therefore our desire, our need, what we are bringing to this psalm carries equal importance to anything else. Your solution to this problem is just as important as the sunrise. It's just as important as the birthing of a new solar system. Thou hast proved mine heart, thou hast visited me in the night, thou hast tried me and shall find nothing. I am purposed that my mouth shall not transgress. The infinite sees you as you are, not as you're afraid you are. Our ego mind has a lot of stories built up about ourselves, and also a lot of stories built up about other people and other things. And these stories are based on the one idea of I am separate. When you have this whole thought system and thus a whole world built out of the thought I am separate, everything is fearful. Everything about that thought is fearful. But the infinite knows that there is no such thing as you being separate. The infinite visits you in the night and tries you and finds nothing. The infinite knows you as you are, not as you're afraid you might be. or as you want to appear to be. And the way that you are is perfect. You were created perfect. The infinite didn't make a mistake with you. Yes, you have an ego that makes a lot of mistakes. Yes, other people have egos that also make mistakes. Yes, we do cruel things to one another in this world. But from the point of view of the infinite, none of that happens. None of that's really happening. That's all within the realm of a big nightmare. And it's not the infinite's will that any of that happens. The infinite only wills that you be who you really are. And who you are is a perfect, unique expression of love, power, beauty. And think of all of the other attributes of the infinite. Those attributes also belong to you. And that's how the infinite sees you. Concerning the works of men, by the word of thy lips, I have kept me from the paths of the destroyer. Hold up my goings in thy path, that my footsteps slip not. All of the ideas that bring about whatever this crisis is in the three-dimensional world that you're asking deliverance from. The first step to be delivered from that is to realize that in the ultimate, no, we're not saying it's not really happening in three-dimensional reality. In the ultimate, in heaven, if you will, it isn't happening because it can't happen. Only perfection can happen for you. When we're asking that we be held up and that our footsteps slip not, we are asking that we be guided while we are traversing through this nightmare, while we are traversing through this problem, through this crisis. We are asked for guidance so that our foot slips not. In other words, staying true to the path out of the illusion and into the truth. And the truth is that the infinite doesn't will that you be in this crisis, therefore you can't be in this crisis. We want those thoughts to guide us. We want the infinite who understands that this crisis isn't real to guide us out of our experience of this crisis. Who else would we want to guide us? I have called upon thee, for thou wilt hear me, O God. Incline thy ear unto me and hear my speech. This is an acknowledgement that we must make the first step, that we must begin anything. To accept that is the greatest act of power we can have. People who think God should just fix everything for me, but I shouldn't have to be involved, don't understand the concept of free will. Don't understand that the infinite's not going to interfere with anything you think or do, or anything that anybody else thinks or does, unless asked. Because otherwise, we're nothing but automatons. We're nothing but robots, and we have no will. We have no volition. That's not how we were created. We were created as perfectly free beings. And as a perfectly free being, we are free to make any kind of mistake that we make. We are free to think anything we want to think. We are free to have delusions of the most dubious nature, if that is our choice. And the infinite stands by waiting patiently for us to awaken to the truth that none of that's real. However, if we ask for help, the infinite is right there. And the infinite will be right there because we are asking for it. And that's the whole idea of I have called upon thee, for thou wilt hear me, O God. Incline thy ear unto me and hear my speech. The infinite is waiting for our call, waiting by the phone for our call. Show thy marvelous loving kindness, O thou that savest by thy right hand, them which put their trust in thee from those that rise up against them. We are acknowledging that's the infinite's primary will for us, that we be delivered from this crisis. That is what we both want. And since we both want it together, nothing can stand against that desire. And we're also asking for a grand judgment, a grand sorting out between that part of us that puts our trust in the infinite and that part of us that puts our trust in our false selves, our ego self, which we are now coming to understand is the birthplace of all of these problems and all of these crises to begin with. So now we recognize that when we put our faith in the infinite, we're also putting our faith in our true selves, our true will, and not this false self that we have concocted. Keep me as the apple of the eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings. That's a nice, beautiful way of understanding that the infinite loves us. The infinite loves you. The infinite's relationship with you is pure and constant love. There is no judging against you. That's not a thing. The infinite will never, can never, it's never going to happen, going to judge against you. It's a constant, never-ending extension of love that is the identity of who you are. Your soul is a constant, never-ending extension of pure love. Anything that doesn't feel and look like that pure love is a conjuration of the ego mind. Either your own separate ego self or you joining with other separate ego selves. This loving kindness is protective, wants nothing more than for you to be happy and completely removed from whatever this crisis happens to be. And will make that happen as long as you allow it, as long as you say yes. This is a wonderful verse to remind us that we are loved, that we are protected, and it's up to us to say yes to that. We can't ask the infinite to go against its own laws. So we have to be very clear that our free will is of paramount importance. As long as we give up our resistance to this love and allow it to work through us and for us, we will have the healing that we desire. We will have the release. We will have the deliverance that we desire. But to the degree that we are resisting this help, resisting this love, then we stay stuck in the problem because it's our right to do so. From the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. Now, you may, in your crisis, have objective enemies in the three-dimensional world that are giving you problems. That may be what this crisis is about. But ultimately, what we're looking at here is the wicked that oppress us and the deadly enemies who compass us about are our own thoughts of separation, our own false world, our own projections of lies onto the screen of space that we interact with and try to prove right. We try to prove that these false images that we project onto the screen of space are real. And we do that by interacting with them and believing in them. And now we're saying we're not doing that anymore. We're going to believe, instead of the illusion, which seems so real to us, we're going to believe in and have faith in the infinite. They are enclosed in their own fat, with their mouth they speak proudly. That's the ego, and we do it all the time. And you know the I'm not good enough, I'm weak, I'm poor, I'm nothing, I'm lowly, that is not humble. That is proud speech. That is being enclosed in your own fat and your mouth speaking proudly. Anytime you speak against the creation of the infinite, you're being proud and vain. And it doesn't matter that you're speaking of yourself. That doesn't make it better. That doesn't make it any better. Be clear on that. When you recognize to the degree that you're down on yourself is the degree to which you are digging your heels into the problem, you see things differently. You understand things differently, and it's easier for you to let go of those false notions about yourself. And interestingly enough, when you let go of those false notions about yourself, you're less inclined to project those kinds of things onto other people, and your relationships start to have a harmony that they didn't have before. And those relationships, which are so toxic, tend to drop away. They either heal or drop away, because you're no longer reinforcing those false narratives about yourself, which are arrogance. Don't speak poorly about yourself in your mind or with your lips because you are criticizing the infinite for not doing a good enough job with you. The infinite did not make a mistake with you. It's so important to recognize this, that you are not an error. You are not a mistake. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are perfect. Now, your ego may have problems. There may be problems in the storyline here, and that's fine. The infinite will heal those for you. But to the degree that you're hanging on to those stories because you're unwilling to give up those false narratives about yourself is the degree to which you are resisting the healing that you're asking for. So that's your job, is to let go of those arrogant notions about yourself. Like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in secret places, that's the ego. That's the ego mind. You have all the power over this. There's no Satan out there that's bigger and smarter than you. No, this is all you. You're so clever, and it's your own cleverness that you've learned to use against yourself, and you're not doing it anymore. You're not doing it anymore. And when you catch yourself being so sneaky about your own willingness to put yourself down, when you catch yourself doing that, you'll recognize that it's an attack. And it's like a lion waiting to attack you. But you're doing it to yourself, and you're not doing that anymore. You refuse to do that. And you're going to catch yourself again and again when you see it, and you're going to drop it. You're going to stop being mean to yourself. You're going to stop being cruel to yourself. You know, a little self-deprecation here and there can be fun if it's understood to be, you know how when you have a really good friend and you make fun of each other, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong to do that with yourself. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about those deep-seated core beliefs that there's something essentially wrong with you. There's something essentially bad about you. That's arrogance. And those are those lions. And you're going to let go of that. And it's not going to be hard for you to let go of that because you have made up your mind that you don't want to keep that. And when you've made up your mind that you don't want to keep that, the infinite will make sure it's removed for you, because that's then your will. And the infinite is there to support your will, your free will. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him. Cast him down. Deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Disappoint this part of my mind that's creating the opportunity for me to be in this crisis. And then you're going to disappoint the crisis and anything that goes along with it. This whole thing that I brought to the psalm is going to be so disappointed and so deflated by the time the infinite's done with it. Why is that so? Because you've asked for it and you've given your permission, and your will is now one with the will of the infinite, and therefore nothing can stop you. Nothing can stop you. From men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure, they are full of children and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. One way or another, each experience, each thought, each idea begets another thought and another idea. And that's the expansive nature of existence. It's the expansive nature of the universe, of which you are an extension. And just like the universe is expanding, you are expanding. And how you're expanding is up to you. Are you going to expand along the lines of the infinite's will for you, or are you going to expand your ego? Are you going to expand your crises? Are you going to expand your problems? And you get to decide. You want to make sure that you recognize that you're constantly expanding. They call alcoholism a progressive disease. The ego is a progressive disease. But also, God is progressive good. Everything is progressing. Everything is expanding. Everything is moving forward. Nothing is standing still. And when you realize this, you get to choose what I'm focusing my mind on is what I'm going to get more of. So if I'm dealing with this crisis, of course I want to get more resolution. And then I want to get more good. I want to become more of who I am. I want to be introduced more and more to who I am as a soul. And then the ego starts to die because it's not getting fed, because the ego has no life force of its own. When we disregard the ego in favor of the soul, the ego has to shrivel up. It becomes nothing more than white noise in the background. We want to remember that what we put our attention on is what grows, is what expands and moves forward. And we're going to put our attention on the infinite so that we can learn about who we are as a soul. Who we are as a soul doesn't have crises. Is never in crisis. The crisis automatically resolves itself because that's the will of the infinite for us. And when we're aligned with our soul's will, what we call our true will, then we're also aligned with the will of the infinite, and nothing can stand against us. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. That's just such a powerful verse. You could just speak that. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. The face of the infinite is the identifier of the infinite. The only way to identify the infinite is to identify the infinite as you, your true you. And who is the true you? Righteousness. You are created righteous, and who you are is righteous. And anything that's not righteous isn't who you are. If you're looking with the eyes of the ego, then you're always looking for what's not there. You're always looking for what isn't real. You're always looking in the world of shadow and darkness. But when you're willing to turn away from that and use the eyes that you were created with, those eyes will then behold everything from the perspective of righteousness, because that's who you are. And that's how you see the infinite face to face, because that's the infinite's will, is that you and the infinite are one. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. You're going to awaken to the fact that you and the infinite are the same. The only difference between you and the infinite is that the infinite created you. You didn't create it. You're an extension of it. But you create like the infinite. And your job is to extend love to the world just like the infinite extends love as you. These crises shrivel up and fly away. There's no life force left in them. The primary magic wand that you have is looking at everything from the eyes of righteousness, because nothing can stand in your way. Nothing can withstand the power that is you, because it's real power, it's true power, it's your true self. And this crisis is nothing. We're so used to thinking, little me, big crisis. And now we're being shown, no, it's big me and little crisis. It's just nothing. When you see it that way, that's the first step to it being dissolved for good. So you just keep coming back to the same psalm again and again till you get a sense in your heart that everything is working out. You'll get a sense of peace. You'll get a sense of certainty about the whole situation. And that little click that you get is an indication to you from your deep mind, you have cast the spell. It's a full thought form, and there's nothing more that you need to do. In fact, just go on to something else and forget all about it, and it will resolve itself. And you'll know that it worked because it will show itself as the resolution of whatever this problem was. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, blessed be.